Time for a spiritual awakening. Time for a spiritual awakening.
Today we're going to be looking at an overview of who we are, what we are, and the source of what we are and who we are. I know that most of us have had the experience of being powerless, kind of a feeling that we're so small compared to the world and the universe. And this smallness is false. There is nothing greater than the creation of humanity in the spiritual sense. We are as God created us. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God immerses us in the love and the light and the wellness. That's no small thing. Everywhere that we are, God is. And we know that all is well. Now, couple that with the fact that we are in unity with everything, the stars, the universe, the cosmos, galaxies, all of it is a oneness and a unity. Why do I say that? Because we know that God is one. God is the great I am as one. In the Hebrew tradition, it is said, Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Now, if we're made in the likeness and image of God, which I believe and truly trust that we are, then we are one with God in everything that God created. This is the truth. And so to identify as an egoic smallness really makes no sense whatsoever. It's contrary to God's intention, God's creation of who and what we are. This is the truth. We are God's creation, a soul, the Atman, the Christ, the Buddha, the Brahman. All of that points to who and what we are collectively. There's no individual. I know there are many wisdom paths that point to God expressing as the individual with uniqueness and separateness. I don't subscribe to that. What I do subscribe to as a wisdom path is using our sense of individuality, which is really impermanent and simply a perceptive sense, using it in furtherance of the collectivism and the unity that we are, the interbeingness, the oneness, the grandness. That's what we are. And we can use our individual thoughts as transient as they are, transitory as they are, impermanent as they are, always in furtherance of forgiving the other who is one with us, forgiving ourselves, we're one with the other. Yes, appearances can deceive, but we don't have to believe it. We can connect our consciousness to the highest level of consciousness. And that, of course, is a unity. Now, I understand that that isn't our everyday experience. Consciousness can be self-consciousness with a small s, and it can be consciousness with a great capital S. When we're in the consciousness of the greater self, all is holy. There's a sacredness and a divinity that transcends any of the separateness and the smallness, the judgments, the criticisms, the grievances, the anger, the fear. That all belongs to a smallness that is false. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So what does exist is the grandness, the sacredness, the soul, the highest level of consciousness at a collective level. We are one. We are one with God. We are one with Christ and Buddha. All of this means that our perception of separation from God and others really can be used in advancement of awakening from that false ideation. Or it can overcome us, so to speak, and we live in fear and separateness. The call is ours. The decision is ours. It's always been ours. But when we've been asleep, we didn't know that. So waking up, which is the name of this series of episodes, so to speak, this TV show, this YouTube video, Spiritual Awakening. It's the 12th step in the 12 steps of recovery, having had a spiritual awakening. When we awaken, we transcend the ego. We know our true selves. And that is not a separate identity. It's a collectivism. It's a unity. It's a light. Let's use the metaphor and the analogy of the sun. All the rays of the sun emanate from one. The Lord is our God. God is one. The sun is one, as a metaphor. And all the rays that emanate from the sun, the light rays, really are indecipherable separately. It's all one. So we have to let go of all of the closely held beliefs that we've maintained lifetime after lifetime, incarnation after rebirth after rebirth. It's only in a willingness, with a capital W, a willingness, a true heartfelt willingness to let go and let God be as it is, that we recognize who and what we are. And it has nothing to do with form. Form is a three-dimensional issue. But the three-dimensional issue, that dimensional, five senses, form, height, width, depth, that's a construct that we've made up in our minds out of the ego, so that we can be identified as an aspect, a separate aspect of the whole. Now that'll work on the lower rungs of the ladder of awakening if we use it in furtherance of love and kindness. I'm an aspect of love. Love is always a totality. It's never separate. It can't be. Love is inclusive of everything, all things. The nature of everything is love. It's omnipresent. It's omniscient. So that being the case, recognize the journey. And the journey is one of upward mobility, upward in a higher and higher consciousness. Recognizing that we are as one. And it isn't defined as form, it's what I would like to call content. And the content is love. So there's a unanimity, an equanimity. And that is the equanimity and unanimity of Christ and Buddha, a spaciousness, if you will. That spaciousness exists beyond time, beyond form, as the ultimate content, the ultimate isness. That is the isness that goes beyond what we can describe. But it envelops and identifies who and what we are. There's a sense of oneness. As we grow in consciousness, there's more bliss, more happiness, a lighter sense, rather than a heaviness. There's no guilt or sin thoughts, only thoughts of inclusivity, only thoughts of oneness. And it's directed by the Creator itself. The Father within does the work. We are channels, both collectively and individually as we're on our path. But as we begin to shed the individuality and recognize that we are a channel in the grandest sense, at a capital C channel, there is only one channel of one God, of one love, of one heroic spaciousness. Take refuge in the heroic oneness that we all are as one. Call it a sonship, if you will. I like that as a connection to the metaphor we're using. S-U-N, Son, S-O-N, the created one, the Adam. And there's only one. And of course, God created it in its likeness and image as one. And then it said, this is good and very good. That's a story. That's a parable. Stories and parables have a moral point, have a spiritual point. And as a point that it's making, it uplifts the oneness higher and higher, further and further. Not in a measurement sense, because it can't be measured. It is a journey that's without distance. And it's a goal that's never changed. Because change would imply something less than the grandeur of permanence, eternality, infinitude. So all of these words are an attempt to sum up who and what we are. But ultimately, it's a letting go. It's simply a letting go and a correction of old beliefs that no longer serve us. Question, are you willing to let go? Are you willing to completely fall back into the no thingness that we are, but to the perfectness and the permanentness that we are? That happens of its own accord, organically, because that is the truth. And the truth sets us free. We know this. So the truth sets us free, and then we share it. Again, at the level that we're at. We speak, we think, we share, we express. All of this is part of the assignment, if you will. It opens us up to a territorial givingness. And the territory keeps expanding till we go beyond territorialness to infinity. All of this is the truth. And it's not something that we can figure out. You know, long ago I let go and I let God. And I stopped trying to understand the infinite from a finite point of view. Finite points of view are incomprehensible with the infinite. The infinite, on the other hand, transcends the finite, and it is within us as a space that we just inhabit. It's a space that we are. It's a space that we can be as the beingness of one. Now, on a practical level, how does this work? Well, again, we're to take our marching orders, if you will, from the spiritual creator, God itself. God directs us. God guides us. God imbues us with infinite intelligence, the intuition, the insight. All of a sudden, there's a knowingness. There is an awakening, a spiritual awakening. And you recognize that your brother and sister are one with you. And you see beyond the form of the body. no longer being filled with sin, fear, and guilt, but what we recognize as love, kindness, holiness, spirituality, Christedness, Buddhahood. This is the nature of the truth. And because we are that very nature, we can simply let go and let God. There's nothing that God needs our help in, except our cooperation, our willingness to be in the Spirit and in the light. Know that you are filled with the Spirit. Let the Spirit follow through as it will, through your words, through your ideas, through your understanding, through your communication. What could be greater than loving communication at the heart level? I know these are cliches, the heart level. We're not talking about the heart as the organ in the chest, although that's symbolic of what we're talking about. The Buddhists say that the finger that points to the moon is hardly the moon. It's the finger that points to the moon. The heart is what points to the ever-loving, God-centered kindness and love, the omnipresence that we are as a being, one Adam, one Eve, collective, before separation. This is the truth. This is all that we need. This is all that we are. Celebrate this. Celebration is a wonderful tool. Gratitude is a wonderful tool. You know that you can decide for celebration and gratitude. Be thankful. There's this American holiday called Thanksgiving. It's really my favorite day in many ways, along with Easter, Christmas, and some of the other wonderful, uplifting ideas of celebration. We're really taking into account the truth and saying, here, let's mirror this. Let's be the mirror of celebration and gratitude. Let our eyes open wide to the truth, and we will be set free as others around us will be set free. This is the nature of the practicality. If you see it as form, recognize you're on a journey still. If you recognize it as the space, recognize you've made some progress and that you're on your way to full awakening and enlightenment as the Christ and the Buddha. The Tao is everything. All things are of the Tao. All things are of the Christ and the Buddha, the space. Whether the body is still functioning at the level of biological aliveness or it's been laid to rest, the energy, the chi behind the body is still functioning and finds another expression until ultimately it is simply pulsating as itself. And that's the ultimate recognition of who and what we are without the form. Because we can transcend the ego and the form when we're ultimately enlightened. It's only our fear and resistance to our true nature that really keeps us stuck in the rebirth and the recycling, if you will. I'm thinking now of recycling in the environmental sense. It's a wonderful idea. Let's take the glass and the plastics and all the other substances that can be, the paper, cardboard, all the recyclables, and reuse them at the level at which they function best. But ultimately, we go beyond the recycling. Ultimately, we recognize that there's an idea, a state of consciousness that is behind all of that. And when that is lived to its fullest and recognized to its fullest, and we sense that we are the infinite in possibilities of recycling, then we don't have to recycle anymore. We are at the level of heaven. And heaven is a state of mind, as above, so below. We can experience that heavenly spaciousness either at the recycling level or at the trans-recyclable level. It all depends on the letting go of the fear and the guilt. Practice that by seeing others as fearless as well as you, as guiltless as well as you. Forgive them, love yourself. Jesus always taught loving, forgiving lessons. And in that, he said, love thy neighbor as thyself, and love God with all your heart and mind and soul. When you follow these two ultimate commandments, you are living in the spaciousness of it all. You are then being as God intended and as God created you. That is the truth. It's a wonderful place to come from. Of course, God created it that way. It couldn't be improved on. It's omnipresent. It's omniscient. It is all the light, all the Tao. And so let go of all the fear. I think that's the first step. Be willing to let go of the fear. When we let go of the fear, we open up to the God fountainhead, the source, because God is love. So we open up to the experience of heavenly love. That is an emanation of light, a light that is so strong that it is infinite, that it is permanent, and it is so strong that it undoes all of the falsity in our minds, all of the sense of sin and unworthiness. We want to let that go by seeing our brothers and sisters as sinless and completely worthy. We as the worthy recognize the worthy in our brothers and sisters. I'm coming from it from all these different angles, just again to point, because ultimately there's an opening and an awakening that no longer relies on pointing at. It comes from a beingness of. And of course, that's the true nature of self with a capital S. You are that which is pointed at. You are that which is seeking to be actualized. These are words, they're symbols, twice removed, I guess, from the reality of who and what God and we really are. But if you're getting a sense of it, if you're getting a tingling, if it's beginning to resonate, then you know you're on the right path. And this isn't something that we simply read in books, although it's fine to look at the Holy Scriptures. It's fine to read the words of those that are mystics and prophets. It's fine to read those works that have been divinely inspired, channeled. Again, those point to. Are they directed at our finite minds? No, I don't think so. I think they're directed at our infinite minds. That's why many of us keep coming back to the words, to the books, now to the e-books, to the prayer, the meditation. I think that could be designated a more direct experience. Open up in your prayer and meditation time to a mystical experience. Sit in the Zen of who you are. Recognize that as the Zazen sitting, as the Christ Buddha nature in your prayer closet, you are being to the fullest extent. You transcend time. I know you've experienced sitting in prayer and meditation, and all of a sudden an hour has gone by. Yes, I know there are other times when we're fidgety. And it seems like the prayer time will never come to a conclusion. But they're all necessary steps on the journey to recognize that there will come more to be revealed. And as we lower our guard, as we let the walls down, we know that more and more is revealed. More and more will be from the heart rather than the head. And when we know this, again, we are centered in gratitude. So much gratitude, so much faith, so much trust, so much love, so much light, that there is no past, there is no future. There's just the eternal, always now. And that is what we live in, the now. Not simply as bodies, because those are laid down ultimately. When the journey at this level of dimension, the three-dimensional level, is transcended. But have faith. Just keep walking on your path, being guided. Hold the hand of your higher power, be it Jesus, Buddha, whomever and whatever is your highest nature. Any and all of this can be used as stepping stones towards the ultimate goal, which has never been changed. It's always been the same, and that is the transcendence of who and what we are as love. Well, we're going to end this episode today. Thank you for allowing me to be with you and express myself as you and I are one. I couldn't express any of this without a sense of being together in the Christ and the Buddha with you as the sonship. We are truly blessed. I want to thank the NECAT Network for putting up these videos, and thank every one of you for joining us. Thank you to Dr. Candace Adelson, my spouse and partner, for editing these videos as well. And so until we see you next time, this is Reverend Jerry Yaakov saying thank you, God bless you, namaste, shalom, and peace.